Let's go racing! It's Super Mario Kart Funny Car Madness! Only on Super NES! Turn the track into a giant mud pit! Or burn rubber on ice, wood, or asphalt! Mix it up with the big boys! See Bowser in his Bigfoot-dropping truck! See Yoshi's go-kart really go! Mushrooms, banana peels, turtle shells! Dynamite! Check your rear view and make him eat dust! Or go into battle mode and ruin his day! 2 speeds! Fast and way too fast! It's 2-player fun on the split screen! Only for the Super Nintendo Entertainment System! Now when you're playing with power, superpower!
Hello and welcome back to our channel. This is Torchlit Gaming. We are the torchbearers, John and Justin, here to guide you to fresh gaming content that's never stale. In case you missed our previous episodes, this is something we call show and tell. We're going to be showing off a few interesting items from our gaming collections today. Over the next hour plus, we'll alternate the showing and the telling, and we'll go wherever the conversation takes us. You can also check out the fact file on all of our videos by clicking on the description. There you can find some interesting fun facts or corrections on anything that we got wrong during the episode. We've got a great show lined up for you today. We're each going to aim to show 5 things. Justin, thank you for putting the stream together.
Absolutely. Always. Pleasure's
All right,
mine.
so I'm going to kick us off for today. And I'm going to just start by showing a game for PC here. This is
Nice.
Doom 3 for PC. So I have some backstory on this game. My dad actually got me this game. This came out in 2004, and he got it for me pretty close to release. One thing you can notice here is the price on the game. It was $54.99. That was the new release price for the game. So this was one of the last games that I ever received from a parent as a gift. But few things, might have been the last, but few things to me were better as a kid than getting a game like from your parents, especially an unexpected game like you didn't even ask for.
Yeah.
Now, if your parents brought you home Where's Waldo, then we were less excited for that. But you know, dad comes home, he's got Doom 3, that's something that's exciting. So yeah, as I mentioned, this came out in 2004. I don't know where he got this from. I guess the only clue I would have to where he got this from might be this label. So maybe you know, or maybe someone who's watching recognizes those type of labels and knows where maybe that was picked up at. I don't recognize it.
It could either be, what year was that?
2004.
I'm trying to think, because think I think I might have been working at Fry's maybe around that time. So it's either a Fry's sticker or a Best Buy sticker. It's one of the two. Because
Yeah,
I think I think they use those big blocky stickers on PC games at Best Buy. I could be wrong, but it's either one of the one or the other.
yeah, and then just me going back and thinking about, I'm sure I must have talked positively about playing the early Dooms, and that's why, he ended up bringing that game home. Because before this, you obviously had Doom 1 on computer. I think that was in '93. Had Doom 2, Final Doom, and then I think Doom 64. And then there was a long gap. So yeah, going back to some of the backstory, there was a really long gap between Doom 64, which I played it at a friend's house. We just rented it from Blockbuster, and it was pretty cool. And I also had rented the SNES Doom from Blockbuster, the one that has a red cartridge, like the only game in the Super Nintendo library with a red cartridge. And I played that. I got pretty far, but I never was able to beat that game. I didn't have like cheat codes or anything handy. I got pretty far, and I enjoyed the game. That it was really, the Doom that I had experienced before this was really first-person shooter. So I was really pleasantly surprised when I started playing this because this actually has a more of like a survival horror
Yeah.
combined with the first-person shooter. It was kind of like the first time that the franchise moved in that like survival horror direction. It was interesting to me. And I do have all 3 of my discs. I'm gonna cover up my CD key there. I don't know if that matters or not, but and then there's actually it looks like there's room for a fourth disc, but it only came with three. So, um, but yeah, this game I remember hearing a lot about it at the beginning that it had a really long development process. I think it was like 4 straight years of development. This is the booklet. Um,
Yeah.
and what I remember at the time is that they said this game is going to have Hollywood level graphics. So there was a lot of talk about like the lighting and the shadows and everything, how dynamic that would be. Now,
Hmm.
keep in mind, I didn't have a high end PC, but when you would go into like the graphic settings in your PC, I'm pretty sure the game would just default. There was like a slider where you could turn up the graphics to
Oh,
like
yeah.
maximum or turn on all the shadows. But I'm pretty sure the game kind of just defaulted to whatever your PC could handle. And then this was also a multiplayer game, so it was going to be pretty intensive on your CPU um, if you played it at full capacity. Now, I always think it's interesting just to kind of look at like the system requirements of older games. So this game system requirements was just let's see here, Microsoft Windows 2000 or XP. 384 megs of RAM was all you needed. 1.5 gigahertz processor.
Damn.
2.2 gig of disk space. DirectX 9. Um, and then of course just to an internet connection to play multiplayer. So really, by today's standards, obviously the system requirements are paltry, but there's the manual again. Does have table of contents and everything. Actually, this manual is pretty cool. It gives you some lore. Like it says, the original Doom was released in 1993 via shareware by an id Software comprised of 10 employees. It has become one of the most well-known PC games of all time. So it like scratches in little tidbits like that.
That's cool.
But I'll tell you that when I played this game, the graphics were better than most anything that I owned at that time. And I remember on one of the earlier levels of the game, you start with like very minimal weaponry, but you have a flashlight, and
Mm.
you're basically you don't know what's going on like if you're playing it for the first time, but it's a Doom game, so you're basically opening a portal to hell,
Yep.
and all these demons and zombies are coming out and taking over. But you're in like I think they call it the UAC, United Aerospace Corporation, and you're the Doom Marine, although the focus on the character like the Doom Slayer is not as much as it was in the next games that came after. You're
Right.
the Marine, and you're in like the UAC and like these dark corridors, and the power went off, and you have a flashlight, so you're shining your light around. And I remember with the shadows and the lighting being as dynamic as it was at the time, this is the first game that I ever had a jump scare by playing it, because you shine a light on a corpse, and then all of a sudden the corpse starts getting up and walking around, and it's pretty freaky. um, it's one of the first games that genuinely scared me, and
Mm.
I'll always remember that. Then there's some merch
Didn't
here
the
in the back.
flashlight have a battery or something and it would die? Or was that a different game?
It may have, and I know there's a modern game called Outlast, and that's like the whole
Yeah.
thing about that game is like if your batteries die, then you're screwed basically. But I know a lot of
Yeah.
people like Outlast, and that's the kind of survival horror aspect of this, that this really diverged from just the straight up shooting um, of the other game. It also came with this is kind of neat too. This is in the box. Um, on the on the front, you just have the cover. Obviously, the game is rated mature.
Mm.
Needless to say, I think all the Doom games are probably rated mature. On the back, it says, "Here's this message." It says, like, a note of caution: Doom 3 is a terrifying experience, not recommended for the cowardly. Um, it's pretty cool, but it just says, enjoy Doom 3. Um, yeah, turn it off, turn off the lights, lock your doors, turn up the sound, and it's a pretty scary game. I gotta give it to them for that. So yeah, that's my thing on Doom 3. This game is still fun, and I'd be willing to bet that since it's Doom, people still actively play on the servers. But so let's fast forward a little bit, keeping in with the theme. Like I said, Doom, there was a 7-year gap between 64 and then Doom 3. Then there was another gap after that. Eventually, you had this one come out, and I know we're moving
Um,
away from retro territory. This game is just called Doom, but most people refer to this as Doom 2016.
yeah.
Um, and this game, well, yeah, this game obviously was released in 2016. It's got another mature rating, of course, and physical copies were still pretty prevalent. I mean, you can still go get physical copies of games, but in 2016, I didn't want to download this digitally. I wanted to actually pick it up. And then one of the reasons I wanted to get it is because, and we go back to this buying things at Walmart theme that we've talked about in other episodes, but this came with a special UAC, United Aerospace Corporation controller skin, and it comes with a Demon multiplayer pack that's only available at Walmart.
Oh,
But this is a fun game, and then the whole direction I guess changed again. It got more. It's still linear because there's levels to it, but the maps are huge. The maps are bigger than any Doom maps previously to that. Um, and it's almost open world. I want to say open world, but it's still a linear game at the end of the day.
yeah.
There's the disc. I spent a lot of time on multiplayer on this game. And here is that exclusive Walmart controller skin for your Xbox 360. I never wanted to put these on my controllers because,
That's
once
pretty
you do
cool.
that, yeah, once you do that and you put it on the controller, like, that's it for your controller. It's like tattooing yourself. But yeah, this
Yeah.
is that's like a cyber demon, or I can't remember what they call
I
that
think
boss, but it's
I think that's right.
and then it also came with this. This is another thing I liked about having physical copies is every once in a while they'll give you a little something. This is a game add-on download. I don't know if I used it or not. I have no idea, but there's the code for it. If you feel like pausing and checking, I don't know if I used it or not. But it comes with a demon-themed armor set, 6 metallic paints, 3 id logo patterns, 6 hack modules. And then
Hmm.
it also has this inside it: Doom Season Pass, um, 3 multiplayer DLC packs, and an ad for another game from 2016, Dishonored 2. I don't have a lot of familiarity with that one. I played the
Pretty.
first Dishonored.
Yeah, that's what I played too. I think they
And then
did Deathloop too.
the last thing that's in here is this little, uh,
Wait. Stop real quick. Hold up the Doom 3 manual next to that manual to show the difference in time. It's like rings on a tree. You can see the age based on how many pages one manual had versus the other.
you still get a frothing at the mouth demon, so they kept
Ah,
with that theme. Oh,
of
and I
course.
thank you for reminding me because I forgot to show one more thing in this Doom 3 manual that's cool, is that it actually gave you a keyboard reference. and,
Nice.
and look at the mouse too. That's an older mouse there.
That's
But
like
it tells
computer
you,
lab at school mouse.
yeah, space bar to jump, control button to attack, and so on and so on. But um it's pretty neat that they included this little thing in Doom 3. But and then here's the one from the modern, Doom 2016 on an Xbox controller. I've got one more Doom thing to show, and then I'm handing it to you. So after Doom 2016, you had 4 more years, and then they pumped out this Doom Eternal.
Great
I
game.
was more of a Xbox gamer in 2016. I just was like, I had more people I knew on Xbox, and I would get in party chat and we'd play multiplayer. Doom Eternal's fun. It still does have a multiplayer, but it's pretty good. It's called Battle Mode, but it's not, to me. I think 2016 would win if you're just talking about the multiplayer. but this one may win if you're just talking about the campaign. There it says it includes battle mode. Um, and this apparently won for best action Game Critics Award. So it's got that on it too. There was a lot more emphasis by this time. There was way more emphasis on the character. Like you notice in Doom 3, I mean, you still have the character. He just looks like this. He's not as badass. Like he's still pretty
Hmm.
badass, but he's not
Yeah.
as badass as like this Doom Slayer, which is what they really focus on now. And then there's another Doom game coming out called Dark Ages. Um,
Yep.
I'm really looking forward to that Doom Dark Ages, by the way. And then the inserts. This is the insert in Doom Eternal. Join the Slayers Club. He's almost like a Master Chief type of figure to me now. He's just like the Doom Slayer, Fallout 76, and the manuals got tiny. You know, we looked at that big manual from the Doom 3 computer game, and this was literally it after that. Um, it just tells you it really doesn't have any lore. It does talk about trophies, but it just shows you the controller map for Doom. But yeah, that was my Doom experience. I'm looking forward to Dark Ages. I don't know if you've seen the trailers or if that's something that you plan on picking up, but
Eventually, yep. I don't miss a Doom game. That's how it goes for me. Have you ever played Brutal Doom?
that's a mod, right?
Hmm.
I've heard of it, but I haven't really spent much time with it.
If you haven't played it, play it. It takes Doom 2 and it totally flips it on its head. Like it basically emulates the violence in like Doom Eternal, but like you can do things like kicking, you can like shoot off limb. It's crazy what people were able to do to mod that game to do all of that. Like it's crazy. And there's other mods you can get, like one that turns it into a roguelike, which is pretty cool. Uh like a whole RPG. It's pretty awesome. I highly recommend it if you haven't played it. Like I've lost a lot of time to Brutal Doom. I figured out how to put it on my Quest 2 so that I could like play it in VR. Like it's awesome. But yeah,
The
so
last thing, the last thing I forgot to mention that you just reminded me of is the soundtracks. I love the
mm,
soundtracks of especially starting with. I mean, the early ones are cool too, but especially starting with 2016 and Eternal, you had Mick Gordon as the composer, and it's like a heavy metal soundtrack. But
yeah.
you can go on YouTube and his videos, his videos of the Doom songs. They've got like millions of views. It's really good soundtrack. I just wanted to point that out.
Yeah, I think I have them saved on Apple Music because I listened to them so much for a little while. But yeah. Alrighty. Um so and and that's all the Doom we have for today, correct?
That's all
Okay.
the Doom I've got for right now.
All right. Let's see what I got. I think what I'll do is I'll segue into my own first person shooter situation here. Um one of the games that I really liked growing up, I wouldn't say growing up, but as an adult, was the Borderlands series. Like I love Borderlands. I can't wait for the fourth one. I think it's a good mix of RPG and first person shooter. A few years ago, I went to Dragon Con. It was the well, maybe the second Dragon Con I ever went to, and they were handing out free stuff. And as a result, I got this bad boy, this replica of the Borderland. What the hell are those things called? I just said I love this game. I can't remember what the hell these guys are called. Um,
Yeah,
Shoot,
I've
why can't
played
I?
it, and I know they're like iconic, but I don't know what they're called either.
Psycho, Psycho. They're called Psychos. Okay, sorry. It took me a sec. Wow, I'm getting old. Anyway, so yeah, so this is a pretty cool mask. I usually leave it hanging behind me. If you've seen me stream, you'll see it behind me most of the time. But yeah, this is pretty cool. I mean, it freaked my kid out when I brought it home. So, it's pretty cool. But not only that, this isn't the only thing I have from Borderlands. They also gave us like they had like this like really durable like cool tote bag. It's in my attic. I didn't feel like getting it. But they also gave us this. And what's inside is a whole bunch. I don't know what to do with this. A whole bunch of artistic posters based on the Borderlands series. So you have like the ink blot thing. You have a recreation of the Scream using the Psycho. Got an emoji. You got this cool one. I'm sure it's based on a painting that I'm too ignorant to know. I think this is supposed to be like a graffiti one. I don't know what this is, postmodern or something. I don't know. I'm dumb. This is the like an Andy Warhol pop art thing. And then back to that. But yeah, got all this for free.
Well, those are awesome.
And yeah, and I need to frame them and hang them up, but like, it's a weird size. They're not that, so I'd have to get like some expensive ass custom frame, but they're pretty cool. I mean, for getting these for free is pretty awesome. They just kind of kick around my room every until I can figure out when to get a thing for them. Oh, I forgot something in here. What is in here? Oh, different poster. But yeah, so that's what I was gonna show. Like, I think it's pretty cool. Like over time, the free merch you can get from like conventions and stuff has steadily improved. And I've gone on eBay and tried to get certain free convention stuff before, and it gets pricey. But it's cool that companies will put a lot of effort into stuff they're just giving out. Because I can't imagine something like this to be cheap to make. Well, I mean, kind of cheap, but to give out to thousands and thousands of people for free. You know what I mean? But like,
You, you could totally make that a Halloween mask.
yeah, totally. If I could, man, I don't feel like I have the physique to be a psycho. I'm not emaciated enough, but it's whatever. But yeah, so that was my cool thing is like I was able to go to Dragon Con and get some cool stuff for free, and I want to go again. It was a blast. Have you ever been to Dragon Con?
I have not.
Oh man, like they have like
You're
a
making me want to go though.
yeah, they have like a hall just for like vendors and stuff, and it's like anything you could imagine is there. Like Magic the Gathering vendors, anime vendors, um, like there was a whole vendor strictly for Harry Potter. They had like things you could go and do. The dude from Power Rangers was there, the one who was Jason in the original series, the Red Ranger. He was there signing autographs. Um, which sucks because my daughter is super into, well, not so much anymore, but she was super into Power Rangers. And this is an aside, but I have to mention it because it's cool. But like, she was super into Power Rangers. I was like, oh man, I should have got his autograph. But what wound up happening later is on her birthday one year, just on a whim, I tweeted to the guy who plays Bulk, like the bullies. And I was like, hey, my daughter's birthday. She's a huge fan. You know, he's like, oh, cool. I'll wish her a happy birthday. What's her name? And I was like, I told him. And he sent me a personalized video of him wishing my daughter happy birthday. And I was like, that is so awesome. And we still have it kicking around somewhere. But yeah, that was pretty cool. Anyway, that was a long story for something not even related to what we're talking about. But it's one of those things where it's like, if you have a chance to go to a convention, totally recommend it. Anyway, that's all I had for that one. So, what do you got going on next?
Well, I was wondering, did you see the Borderlands movie?
I did not. I've actually been kind of hesitant because so many people are saying it's terrible, but at the same time, I'm like, I gotta see it. So I'm probably gonna watch it eventually. Maybe.
I haven't seen it either, but I did see that the reviews weren't the best. But it's kind of neat, When anytime a video game kind of cracks the zeitgeist in a way so that they're big enough to get a movie, it's kind of a
Yeah,
big deal.
I agree.
Unfortunately, those movies usually go the wrong way, like Final Fantasy Spirits Within or something.
I mean, yeah, that's a good point. Like, how many good video game movies have we had? Like, we had the Mario
Super
movie that came
Mario.
out. That recent one was good.
There's a lot of ones. There's a lot of bad
Sonic.
ones.
Sonic, the Sonic trilogy. I haven't seen the third one yet, but the first two are great. Um,
Doom movie was not the best.
mm-mm,
Dungeons and Dragons movie is not the best.
mm-mm.
Uh, Teenage
Yeah,
Mutant Ninja Turtles are fun for nostalgia.
yeah. I'm struggling. Those are the only two I can really think of that I really like. And then you have the Minecraft movie coming, and it's like,
Yeah,
I don't know, man. It's either gonna be really good or really bad. There's not gonna be an in between.
definitely. All right. Well, I'm gonna show something different now. I got a book in my hands that I'm gonna show here.
Mhm.
Um, this is a series. This is just a reminder to me of something that I was pretty. I guess you could say I went through a phase where I was really interested in it. I don't want to say I was obsessed with it, but this is
Mm,
Shadowrun. This is a tabletop role playing game. We talked about Dungeons and Dragons on episode 2, Show and Tell, another tabletop role playing game. But yeah, this is Shadowrun. This book is called Ragnarok by Stephen Kenson. Um, I couldn't tell you like what are the exact details of this book, and then I got a little spillage here, so just ignore that. But um, I wish I could show my Shadowrun game that I had for Sega Genesis growing up, but I don't know where it is. It's I've lost track of it. But I really I grew up and there was back in the 16-bit console war era, there were times where we had games released for Sega and then we had a game released for Super Nintendo, and sometimes they were the same game and in some cases they were totally different games. So this is one of those cases where it was a totally different game.
yep.
Both are good, and I'm gonna be partial to the Sega one because that's the one I grew up playing and I beat it. The Super Nintendo one's fun too. It's more like the Super Nintendo is like a point and click adventure game. Um, it's still a fun game. I've never beat it, but the Sega one is more like an action RPG, and it's got some interesting, innovative elements to it. Like there's like a computer game that you can play. It's like where you go into the Matrix, which if you read
Mm-hmm.
Shadowrun, you'll kind of be familiar with the Matrix, but yeah, this book, without going into like super specifics on this book, like I'll show you just a few interesting things. FASA Corporation, they put this out. There's their website. Book was for $5.99 when it came out. This was published, I should say, in I believe 2000, the year 2000. What's interesting is like here's a list of books that's on the back, like on in the inside back cover.
There's a
All
lot
these
of them.
books are in yeah, those are all in the Shadowrun universe, and like notice how many different authors were putting out books in the Shadowrun universe. That just kind of gives you an idea of how huge this is.
Mm-hmm.
There's a couple of the black and white pictures of Techno Babel and Crossroads. These are pretty interesting, and I do remember I read the whole thing from cover to cover. I think I got this. I either got this at a bookstore. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I got it like Barnes and Noble or something like that. Could be wrong, but yeah, I really wish I was showing my Sega game. Just don't know what happened to it. But I spent hours and hours as a kid playing that Sega game, and I beat it. I was pretty proud of myself when I beat it because it's not the easiest game. Um, and you have party members, you have humans, dwarfs, magic users, gun users. I should say, this is a cyberpunk series. Everything is like futuristic. You have shamans. Um, so here's something that funny that I wanted to show in this book. There's not really any illustrations or pictures except for one. And so this is a map of North America that's in the book. As you can see, this is circa 2061. So take note of the way that the North American continent has been carved up into territories here. Um,
Mm-hmm.
you've got, and this is hard for me to read, but like you've got the Ute Nation over here. Um, you've got the Salashidhe Council. I probably said that wrong. Um, the Sioux Nation, the Pueblo Corporate Council, and then you notice that the the country is divided. into the United Canadian and American States, the UCAS, in the northern half, and then the
Hmm.
Confederated American States, the CAS, in the southern half. So they've really gone to some lengths with the creativity to come up with this. And then take special note that the city, this little icon here, is telling you that the capital city of the Confederated States is nowhere other than Atlanta, Georgia. So this is accurate to the lore of our country, I feel. Uh,
Yikes.
but it's just interesting to me, this cyberpunk is always you're always going to get something interesting and creative with Shadowrun. Um, so since I didn't have my Sega game to show, I had to find something that I had, and I found something. I'm hesitant to show this on camera, but this is a Shadowrun for Xbox 360.
Nice.
This
I
is
love that
game
game.
is rated it's rated M for mature. So you'll notice I got this pre-owned for $1.99. I'm sure that was part of my thought process when I picked this up. I was like, okay, well, it's $1.99 and it says Shadowrun, so it must be good, right? Um, but no, I was really wrong. It's not a good game. This says
It's a great
play
game. What
with
are you talking about?
play with Windows Vista gamers. That was one of the draws to
Yeah,
this game.
crossplay. Yeah.
Um, yeah, FASA. You'll see FASA Studios, like I showed you in the book a moment ago. Um, and yes, it does say on the back, as you mentioned, unprecedented cross-platform combat. That was the big the
That's a
big
big
gimmick
deal.
here is that you can play with Windows 360 and Windows Vista, share money, coordinate weapons and skills with teammates. Um, so the evil thing about this game is this little part here that says it's optimized for online multiplayer. Xbox Live Gold is required.
Yeah.
It's not
It was it
recommended.
was
It's required.
it's multiplayer
Um,
only, yep.
so the only thing you can do in this game if you're not online is play tutorials, and
Yeah.
there's a lot of tutorials. Um, even when you do play this game online, I think you can play with up to yeah, it says online up to 2 to 16 players, and
Yeah.
that's cool. For the year this was released, I guess 2007, according to the back of the box. But this game is very obtuse. Learning the different magics and techniques and abilities. This game is not fun. In my opinion, anyway. Maybe there's somebody out there who likes it. I would show you the manual, but I used it for toilet paper.
Come on,
There's the
man. It's
disc.
not that bad.
There's the disc. Um, but
Here's what I think it is. I think you went into it thinking it was like the Sega Genesis, like an action RPG, and it was not that. It was basically a Counter-Strike like multiplayer first-person shooter that, you had your magic users, you had your, non-magic users, you had skills and stuff. I thought it was really awesome because it was something a little different from your normal first-person shooter fare. I was
I just found it to
disappointed.
be very
Go ahead.
hard to learn. Was what I was
I
gonna
mean, it
say.
was. Yeah, it was. But once you like sat, because I played a lot of that game, dude. And once you started, playing matches and figuring out the flow of the game, it started to click more. And it's like, but it does have a very strong learning curve. That I will agree with you on that. And it's like, but I mean, once you get it, it's like, oh, okay, cool. And then it start. But you have to think of it as like Counter-Strike with magic, basically, and then it falls into place. But yeah, if I had played the Sega Genesis version growing up as a kid, and then went to that on Xbox 360 thinking, oh shit, yeah, yeah, I'd be like, nah, throw this out.
Yeah, I
So
never never
I'm with you,
really got I never really got the hang of it. Totally different from like the role playing experience that
yeah,
I knew and loved
100%, yeah,
growing up. Um, but yeah, a great series. And honestly, I will say that there are good ideas here in this
yes,
game. Good ideas. I just feel like the execution is a miss. Like we were just talking about with the game movies. Like good ideas, but is it executed well? And it's up for debate. But somebody wanted to sell that for $1.99, and I would say there's a reason for that. But
right. Now
that's
this is what
all
I
I
got.
got for Shadowrun.
This is what I got is. Cyberpunk is actually one of my favorite genres, like and settings.
Agreed.
Um, have you played Cyberpunk yet or no?
Not yet. It's on
You gotta
my
play.
list.
You gotta play it, dude. Now, the funny thing that when you were talking about the Atlanta thing, the main character in Cyberpunk 2077 also has come from Atlanta. Like they
What
came
is
from
going
Atlanta.
on in
They
Atlanta?
came from Atlanta to go to Night City for changing their whatever, I don't remember, changing their they were trying to get ahead in life and they went to Night City, which didn't work out for them. But anyway, but yeah, I highly, highly recommend Cyberpunk 2077. It's one of my favorite games, either last year or the year before, because like it's what it's what I think people thought the Shadowrun game for Xbox 360 should have been, is like, how it mixes RPG and first person shooter in a much better way. And I think the thing for me with Cyberpunk 2077, which is the best part of that game, is scope, like and scale. Like when you're driving down the road in Night City and like you look up and it's just endless buildings, like up, down, everywhere you look, it's just buildings. And like most of those buildings you can get to and more than likely go into. And it's like that's what makes me think of a next gen game, not just simply better graphics, because graphics are going to peter out eventually. It's, being able to interact with your environment in different ways. And that's what I think anyway. But highly recommend Cyberpunk 2077. The only thing I will say is I know you and you'll want to do all the achievements. So it is fun for that too. But and now there's a DLC and I think the story's great. It had a rough start when it came out. It was, that had all those problems, but they ironed all those out. They, have been adding more and more free content.
Those
They've done
memes
some,
were good.
what's that?
The memes when it first came out.
Yeah, yeah. What's funny is I bought it on PlayStation 4 when it came out, and it got to the point where it crashed so much I couldn't finish the game. And so I got a refund for it, and I deleted it and didn't think anything else of it. Well, then the PlayStation 5 came out. Eventually, I got a PlayStation 5, and I was like, I'll check this out again. And I bought it on PlayStation 5, and I was like, this is so much better now. It's and like the hacking in the game, it's wonderful all around. Anyway, I've rambled for way too long, but I could talk about that for eons. But going back to Shadowrun though, uh, I love Shadowrun as well. I've actually explored playing the tabletop game. I was thinking about running some of those. I actually only have the disc. Like I have that. That's all I have. I don't have the case or anything else. It's in like a little crappy case. But anyway, I've been thinking about running the tabletop game because it's pretty cool, but time. But
I
anyway,
bought one of the I bought one of the tabletop books online when I was real interested in Shadowrun, but I don't know where it is. Maybe I can find it and show it on another episode in the future.
yeah, we should do one just about like tabletop and stuff. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
Anyway,
We should play the tabletop game on stream.
we should. Yeah, that'd be a great idea. We could totally do that. I actually have something called Foundry, which lets me run games online. I totally could do it. Um, what do I want to show? I'll show something simple before I'll show some simpler stuff before I get to my one of my last favorite thing. But anyway, I got this. This is a pre-order bonus from Tears of the Kingdom. I it's a piece of wood. It has the art from the game, and I think this is a very cool thing. I don't know. Wait, am I holding it upside down? No, wait. I don't know. I don't know which way is up on this actually. I don't know.
I think you have it the right way right now. Is that
Yeah,
it's almost like a hand that's facing up,
yeah.
I'm
So
guessing.
this was a pretty cool thing. I wasn't expecting to get it, but I the night that this game came out, I had pre-ordered it at GameStop and I waited in line. It was one of the few times I did a midnight launch at recent, and I actually have the Tears of the Kingdom OLED too. I love that thing. But funny enough, this went on eBay for quite a bit of money. Like even like by the time I got it home, it was selling for like $50 to $80. I don't know how much it is now. I don't really care. I'm not selling it, but I was amazed that a piece of wood with this on it was worth so much to people. Um, but yeah, I mean, it's just a cool little thing. I mean, I usually have it right there with my premium painted PlayStation 5 cover. Um, when I got my first PlayStation 5, they had the removable covers. And I saw online somebody's kid like decorated it, and they were like, "Oh yeah, now it's better." I was like, "Hey, that is a good idea." So I actually let all my kids, draw on my cover. But then I traded my PlayStation 5 for a Slim, and so I was like, "Well, I want to keep those." So I had to buy a whole nother cover just to just to keep this. Do silly stuff sometimes, but yeah, I think that's pretty cool. I mean, it's definitely some of the cooler Zelda stuff out there. Actually, while I'm thinking about it, I think you have this too, but or at least some of this stuff, but like, the collector's edition guides.
Yeah, I don't have that one.
Yeah, this is pretty cool. I mean, I think I've looked at it a few times, but it tells you everything, of course. The only thing this is going to be my soapbox here. So, I mean, it's pretty cool. I love this thing. Like, I always try to get collector's guides when I can because they're so much more beautiful than the original thing. And, having a hardback is always nice. But this is going to be my soapbox, right? So, I love buying these things, these strategy guides with all this cool art and everything. Uh, but the thing that I think sucks in the year of our Lord 2025 is the fact that like when you buy those, you're buying it for the base release of the game. So like version whatever comes out because those are written before the game comes out. So, whatever version they were on when that came out is what you're going to get. Now, in modern times, we get patches all the time and we get DLC all the time. So it's like what they say in those books may not be true like a few years down the line when you if you and they and it's I've rarely seen where they reprint books with up as the updates happen. They just push out one. I mean, it happens. I'm not saying it never does, but it's not common. And so that's the thing is it's like back in the day, when we were kids, we would get things like this. Let's see. I'm just gonna pick one out here. Since we talked about it, like this, right? And this is it. This is all you got to care about. So like if there was any kind of glitches or anything, they could safely put them in here and you could redo them. Sometimes they would do that. Sometimes they would tell you tips or cheats or whatever. And it's like Tears of the Kingdom is notorious for that. People would find exploits to like find ways to make more rupees or unlimited items or duplicate items. But then like two patches later, that would be gone. So it's like, you know what I mean? Like it's just one of those things where it's crazy that guides exist, but I have to think that these guide makers know that and they probably try not to include things that they think would be taken out. I don't know. But I have seen it where they'll write a whole new guide for the DLC alone, and then you can just combine it, which is kind of cool. But anyway, that was my me on my soapbox. I'll hop off and continue on. But yeah,
Yeah,
so you know,
you had me curious when you were talking about like exploits for the game, and I was just taking a peek, and this I was wondering what's the speedrun record for Tears of the Kingdom right now. You want to take a stab at that?
sure. Let me think. Uh, knowing what I know
Any
about the
percent,
game, what is it? Any
any
percent?
percent. Yeah.
Um, knowing what I know about the game and how easily you can glitch in that game, even after patches, I'm gonna say 2.5 hours.
39 minutes and 50 seconds.
Damn.
Speedrunner's name is Moldy Meatballs.
Oh,
That's
all
according to
right.
speedrun.com. But
Shout out Moldy Meatballs for the record.
yeah, that's to me. It's always interesting to see like how they do it. Watch the videos, later and learn about how they exploited it. It's stuff that I would never be able to execute. Especially when it comes to like frame perfect
Yeah,
inputs and all that.
like the Ocarina of Time speedrun I saw one time. There was like, and then they clip through something, and then they're like at the Triforce, and I'm just like,
I think they can. I think Ocarina of Time is closer to like 10 minutes or less now.
yeah, it's something crazy.
Like,
Yeah,
it's just a credits warp. They do
yeah.
some advanced techniques. Um, they make stale references, which is just an advanced technique, and they warp to the credits.
Hang on, let me look at some real quick. So I'm gonna go on eBay, and I'm gonna look at Tears of the Kingdom. I'm just very curious. Pre-order bonus. Okay. Oh, now the price is like dropped. Like now it's like $20. But when I first got it, it was up there. So that's good. At least people haven't lost their at least at least people are like, "Oh, it's a piece of wood. Never mind." That's so funny. Uh anyway, what have you
Just a
got for us?
quick, yeah, sure, and then just a quick correction. I just looked it up. It's 3 minutes and 47 seconds. Ocarina of Time, any percent.
Oh my
Um,
gosh.
and that was achieved by Count LG 7 months ago. Yeah, it's a credits warp. They never leave Kokiri Forest. They go straight from Kokiri Forest to the credits
Wow. Shout
by
out to
totally exploiting, manipulating Count LG.
Count LG. Yeah, shout out. Way to go.
Okay, so before I show my next thing, and I do have backstory for the next thing as well. I was just wanted
Nice.
to ask you: was that guide, that Final Fantasy VII guide, is that a Brady Games guide?
I believe it is. Let me see. Yeah, it's Brady.
Okay, cool. All right. That's going to tie right into what I've got to show next. So next thing I'm going to show, this is kind of like a little extravaganza here. I've got Final Fantasy IX for PlayStation. This is the original version. It's not the greatest hits, Later
No.
on, you'd get great green here, where they'd show you the greatest hits. Like here's an example that's right within reach. It would look, it would without me showing like, I guess I have to show the game, but yeah, it would look more like this if it's a later release. But
Fun
um,
fact, real
here's
fast. Did you
yeah,
know that Square Enix still sold greatest hit copies of Final Fantasy 7, 8, and 9 up to this day? You
I did
could
not
still
know
get
that.
you can still get it. I think they might be sold out now, but like for a
On
long
PS1,
time on PS1, yes, I promise you. They sold them up until like last year, I think. Or they might still have them, I don't know. But yeah, it's crazy. I didn't know they still printed them.
my backstory on this game is you and me were in high school,
Yep.
and before I actually owned this game, I borrowed it from you.
Hmm.
And I was
Sounds about right.
borrowing one disc at a time. This game is 4 discs, which was, it was and is still a lot.
Mhm.
The reason the discs are that big is mainly to make room for all the full motion videos that are, packed
Yeah.
into here. There's long segments of full motion video, um, making it there a need for 4 discs. But um, I borrowed this game from you like one disc at a time, and like when I beat disc one, I would be like, I would call you because we really didn't. There wasn't much texting going on when we were in high school. But
Mhm.
I would call you and be like, "Hey man, I beat disc one. Is there any way you can bring disc two on Monday, and I'll borrow it from you?" And then that's basically what we did. And then I'd borrow disc two, and whenever I beat that, I'd return it to you, and you'd let me borrow disc three, and so on. So that's kind of how things worked back in the day.
Yep.
Um, but when I played, let's see, this came out in 2000, and I'm sure I played it the same year it came out.
Yeah, we did.
I had previously I played Final Fantasy VII with you, and I showed Final Fantasy VII, I think, on the first episode of Show and Tell. And I played that at your house. Later, owned it myself, and then ate. And then by that time I was pretty hooked. Is my point. Um, EGM. Here's a little quote from EGM that says it's the best looking game in the series.
which is
Uh,
debatable.
it takes the best of the old and mixes it with the best of the new.
Not
It is
debatable.
now. It says analog controller compatible because everything didn't have an analog. Like when we looked at the booklet from Final Fantasy VII, and you noticed it wasn't even analog in the original booklet. But yeah, we're gonna take a little look at this. So yeah, I got this one. There's like a dragon that is. I don't know the name of that. Is that Bahamut maybe?
It looks like Bahamut. It looks
So
like that cut scene when he comes out and
and we have a
messes him up.
booklet here. Um, there is disc two, Princess Garnet, and then I have actually there's two booklets here. Um, we'll look at those. I have disc three and disc four. I'm trying to see what's the picture here, and then there's this. I guess this is correct me if I'm wrong. Is this what Eidolons or Eidolons? Which ones are those? That's
That's
Alexander.
Alexander. Yeah, that's Alexander for sure.
I'm used to seeing Alexander in Final Fantasy Rebirth now, so it has a totally different look. But yeah, I think that, yep, you're right. That's Alexander. And maybe Bahamut. Maybe that's Bahamut with the wings. I don't know. But
Show me again.
yeah, the summons were like, to me, one of the coolest things.
Yeah, I
It's
think
hard
that's
to see
Bahamut.
all the glare, but to me, the summons were one of the coolest things in the game. Like I wanted to keep seeing more summons, and I think in this game they call them Eidolons or Eidolons. I don't know what's the right pronunciation. So yeah, there's two booklets here. This one, it says online strategy guide on playonline.com. Fun fact, you can actually still go to this website to this day, and it looks like the old internet. But you can still they have like active feeds, like they actively still post on X and whatnot, but you can still go to playonline.com, and it still looks pretty much like it looks here. Um,
But I
it
think
just
the
says
Final
log.
Fantasy 9 strategy guide isn't up anymore. Just Final Fantasy 11,
Yeah, they're very, very devoted to Final Fantasy 11 now.
which is incredible because that game came out in like 2000. Mm, it was like the PlayStation. It was like the end of the PlayStation 2 life cycle. It was like 2001 or 2 or 3 maybe. 2000. I think it was 2002 is when Final Fantasy 11 came out, and uh and it's still around. You can still play it to this day and get a subscription to it. And they've updated it so much that like you can basically play the game solo if you wanted to. Don't even have to like get a party going, but it's more fun if you do. But
Yeah, they put all these keywords for you to search in this booklet to find different things.
notorious.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What did you think about this film? They didn't even call it. They didn't even give it the tagline of Spirits Within here. They just called it Final Fantasy, and they later added the Spirits Within. What did you think about that movie?
I actually have a couple things to say about that movie. Number one, I have the soundtrack. I think I showed it to you not too long ago.
Yeah, I have
But number one, I saw it in theaters. I thought it was okay. I mean, I could see what they were going for. I remember the second time I saw that movie was at a girl's house, and I went to that girl's house. And this is when I lived in Florida, so this is like after um, I left the state that we live in, and I met her on the Palace, which ties into one of the upcoming podcasts we'll do sometime soon. But I met her on the Palace, and I met her in real life, and they when I got there, they were watching Final Fantasy: The Spirits Within, and I watched it with her and her mom and sibling, I think. And then she showed me the Magic the Gathering cards she had, and they were all like uh water damage. So I was like, what is going on here? And then not that long after that, the girl never wanted to hang out with me again. And I was just like, okay, cool, whatever. Bye. It's just so funny, dude. Like what you attach to certain, like I had forgotten about that until we started talking about this, and then it just came to me. And it's so funny how like certain things like trigger memories that you have. Maybe that was the point of the movie. I don't know. But
Nostalgia.
yeah, I remember also that I think they wanted the main character in that movie, Aki Ross or whatever. I think they wanted her to be like the first digital actress where she would be in multiple movies and she would be like a lead actress moving forward. And I remember she was in Maxim, I think, and she did like a Maxim photo shoot, like a digital one. And that was a crazy time, dude. Like that actually I think that movie actually almost bankrupted Square, if I'm not mistaken. And that's around the time that they decided to, after that movie and its failure, not long after that, I think is when they decided to merge with Enix. And what's even funnier, I don't know if you remember this, but you and I actually called it many years before it because we used to say Squeenix. And we were like, oh, wouldn't it be funny they'd be called Squeenix? And we said that a long time ago, probably around
You're right.
Final Fantasy 9 or whatever. That's what we would say. And I never forgot that. And I was like, oh my God, John and I called it. We put it into being. It was so funny, dude. Like I don't know if you remember that, but it was so funny that
You.
we can officially call it Squeenix now.
Yeah, we did.
That's so funny, dude. Like the things, you know. I don't know. Anyway, sorry, I took way too much. I took a lot of time to
No, you're
remember
good.
all that, but
That's a good story. I almost forgot about that. Squeenix.
oh, that's so
Yeah,
funny.
that movie was all the way back in summer 2001. So this must have been, like I said, this must have came.
2000.
This game was released in 2000, but they didn't
Mhm.
even call it The Spirits Within, which is telling to me.
Oh
Um,
yeah,
and
I think they
there's an
probably
advertisement
yeah.
for the Brady games. There's a
What
Brady Games advertisement there.
what probably happened is they probably put that movie before a test audience, and they're like, "This isn't Final Fantasy," so they're like, "Oh well, let's add something to it, just so they know it's like a side thing," you know.
Yeah. Here's a little ad for says music to inspire your fantasies. FF9 Umatsu's best selection music from Final Fantasy 9, and then it mentions Tokyopop down here, which Tokyopop was a good magazine that back in the day I purchased whenever I found it. But it says it's available now from Tokyopop Soundtracks, and it's got the website for that. I'm not sure if that's still around or not. Haven't seen a Tokyopop magazine in a long time.
Forever.
This is interesting. Says the least we could do for a group that saves the world. And it's got your main characters, and it says Final Fantasy IX statues and lunchboxes coming soon.
Lunchboxes.
And there's a website for that. It's palisadesmarketing.com. I've never seen those. Um, and then over here, you've got some Final Fantasy IX t-shirts with the main characters. Order now. Squaresoft.com. You got strange color selection of t-shirts to show. They show orange and yellow. And then here's just a few drawings of there's an airship. I don't know if these are Amano drawings or not, but there's an airship and there's some of the other palatial areas of the game. So, like I said, there's two booklets here. I was showing some of the second booklet, but this one kind of tells you about the active time events, which to me, the active time events were, one of the more interesting and dynamic. Oh, that's one of the lunch boxes there. Oh, it made a thumbs down, but that's one of the lunch boxes.
Yeah, I don't know why it does that, but yeah, that's pretty cool.
The
It's
active
going
time
for
events to me were kind of like a innovative thing at the time. How much is that lunchbox selling for?
$50 on eBay.
Wow. Yeah, the game would like give you this little indication active time event when there was something, that you could do or see. Sometimes it would be like side stories. I think they kind of took that from Star Ocean, but
That's what I was about to
maybe
say. Yeah,
maybe they
yeah, yeah.
lifted it. It is Enix, and obviously they went on to merge. So
I'm sure they borrowed from each other all the time. They were the two leading RPG companies in Japan, so
and this is kind of what the full motion looked like, isn't it?
yeah, it's accurate. That's exactly how it looked.
Okay. And there's actually something in here. It says you can get Squaresoft game tips by calling this 1-900 number, and they charge 99 cents per minute for automated tips, and they charge $1.35 per minute for live assistance.
Oh,
Squaresoft game tips. So they had their own game counselors. Um, and there's this thing. It says you can fill this card out and return it to be entered in a monthly drawing, and you can win what it calls a cool Squaresoft game
you should
by
send it in
filling
and
out
see
a
if you get.
yeah. Um, they'll probably tell me the company doesn't exist anymore. It's obviously no longer SquareSoft, but
Fair. They probably shut
these
that
were
down
always
now.
like growing up. I always saw these in like magazines, like in GamePro or Nintendo Power. There'd be mail-in rebates and mail-in offers, but it says it asks which SquareSoft games do you own, and it lists a bunch of SquareSoft games. What is your favorite type of game, and it wants you to check which boxes. And then it says what factors influence you the most when purchasing a game. Um, you see, it's got like developer, storyline, characters, um, so on and so on. Gameplay, hours, multiplayer being part of the game, um, replay value, movie sequences, and then you would
I,
mail it. You would post this, place your postage there, and mail it to Clear Lake, Minnesota.
yeah, I think what's interesting is it had that little thing for multiplayer, but like during this time period, the only real multiplayer games that were really like what we think of multiplayer today would be on PC, like your Unreal and your Doom and all that stuff. Like consoles didn't really move into that space yet. You know what I mean? I think like Halo, I don't even think Halo was out yet during this point. So it's like, I mean, there were multiplayer games. I mean, you had your like Pocky and Rocky and all those like uh couch co-op kind of things, but like the massively multiplayer games that we think of today with like Fortnite or whatever, those didn't exist yet. So it's interesting that they put such an emphasis on multiplayer when I feel like that was such a, what's the word? Uh,
It's kind of a
I don't,
niche thing.
I was gonna say niche, but I didn't really want to say niche because I mean it still existed. People played sports games on the couch and stuff, but like it definitely wasn't like a major focus until they could monetize it, basically. Amazing.
And
Great soundtrack.
keeping with the yeah, keeping with Final Fantasy IX here, I got the original soundtrack, composed, arranged, and produced by Nobuo Uematsu. It says Ever Anime uh, on the disc.
Good old ever anime. That's the only
And
way a lot of us were able to get those soundtracks is through Ever Anime because I don't think Square thought soundtracks were a viable market here in the US. They never put them out. Like it'd be rare. And Ever Anime would basically bootleg them and bring them here. Like I have a
so this,
Celtic. Go ahead, sorry.
oh, you go ahead. You're good.
I was gonna say because I had like Celtic Moon, the Final Fantasy IV soundtrack, which I love to this day. That was through Ever Anime. I had a bunch of ever anime because that's all that would sell in anime shops. So if I could buy Digicube and Square Enix Music wasn't a thing yet, but if I could, I would have. And you can find those things on vinyl now, which is insane to me. But anyway, sorry.
No, you're good. There's not much to see in this. It's just 4 discs, no booklet. But
Bummer.
somewhere along the way, I got this one too. This one is you were talking about Celtic Moon a minute ago, which is like a arrangement or variation on the
Hmm.
original
Yeah,
versions, and this one is just called Melodies of Life.
the,
Um,
the title track, I think.
it's got I think 3 different versions, including an instrumental version of it, and
Mm.
there's the track list on the back. Got 3 different Melodies of Life at the beginning. It's got the same picture that we just looked at from the booklet, and then those are the rest of the songs. It's got 2 discs.
A
Um,
VCD. Is it music videos of all those?
it says there's a VCD, so we'll take a look at it. This one is, I don't know, it almost looks and feels kind of like a bootleg, but don't know. This is disc 1, Melodies of Life. There's this little insert here. Um, feels like it's gonna break, but it's almost like somebody printed this
Mm.
on cardstock or something. It's trying to open it. Okay, yeah, it actually has. This is interesting. It's got Japanese language lyrics for Melodies of Life, and then it's got the English language lyrics for Melodies of Life.
Hmm.
You can see the cardstock is almost like see-through. It's not even the best
Hmm.
quality there. And then there's another song. I don't remember there being another song with lyrics called Galway, but apparently there was.
That's interesting.
This, yeah, and then a few scenes from the game, a few full motion video scenes from the game. Um, yeah, that was disc 1. Disc 2. Um, trying to the jewel case is kind of not wanting to fully open here, but I do have disc 2, and I guess this is a. It does say video CD on it right there. So I will have to do some more research and pop this in. Um, it says there's a. It's hard to see, hard to tell what's really on disc 2, just by looking at the back. It just has this 20 tracks listed. So I'll
Pretty
have to
good.
check into that. Yeah, and then on the spine you can see it says 2 CD plus VCD there. So I picked that up somewhere along the way. I'll check it out and report back what was on that. And then I asked about the Brady games because you got to have the Brady games uh, to know what's going on, to get all the
Yeah.
codes and everything. So, and again, this is enhanced by playonline.com, and electronics boutique there. I don't know, are they still around or not
I think in Canada, maybe.
in Canada? It's got a collector's edition cover. It says it's obviously got like the prismatic type cover, but everything that good price. This was only $12.99 USA at the time. If you bought this today, it would probably be at least $20, but probably more.
Yeah, it's a good
Uh,
question. I actually don't have
and
any
then
newer ones to compare. I just have collectors.
it calls it the only official guide, and it's got play online is plastered all throughout this manual. Um, detailed walkthrough, equipment, weapons, bestiaries, side quests. That's all the stuff we wanted to know when we were playing, a game as expansive as this.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, just it's got a full table of contents and everything. It's a pretty thick strategy guide. I really don't remember using this much at the time, but it might have been more like, to wrap up after beating the main game, like to go back and find things that were missed or find like, the secret bosses and whatnot. Um, but yeah, all these little keywords, these play online keywords that pop up all throughout the big strategy guide. Like this page has 3 play online keyword boxes there.
Hmm.
Yeah, I definitely did not play this game the first time through with a guide, but it's just one of those things, for a game like that, it's a nice thing to have. It's got a full bestiary in the end, including bosses. Like there's Ozma. level 99 and like crazy HP and everything. And let's see if there's anything interesting here. There's a map of the world map of the game in the back. And of course, there's always a page, there's always a blank notes page and everything. Blank notes page. I didn't write anything on there. In the very back, here's the large full page ad that we saw earlier, music to inspire your fantasies from Tokyopop. There's also a Parasite Eve 2 uh, advertisement for the soundtrack of Parasite Eve 2, yeah. It says it's available at Babbage's, EB,
Ooh,
GameStop, Funko Land,
look at that GameStop logo. Woo!
and
Man,
ebworld.com. Yep, so that's always interesting. Those are the
Babbage's.
places that we would those were the places we would go. Um,
Mm,
yeah, I never owned this disc, but apparently that's like Umatsu's favorite songs from Final Fantasy IX. And then
it's just the whole soundtrack.
the last page is Palisades marketing, lunchboxes and statues again. Full page advertisement that time. Oh, I forgot. There's one more last page for the movie, the dreaded movie.
Mm-mm-mm.
So yeah, that's it for Final Fantasy IX. I just had a lot of stuff that I had purchased at the time because that game had a big impact on me. And out of all the retro, like out of all the older Final Fantasy games, it's one of my favorites by far. It's hard to rank them, but that's one of my favorites.
Yeah, it's up there. It's not it probably cracks top five for me, I'd say. Um oh. Hmm. Trying to think. I guess it's gonna be a little simpler, but I have a plush slime from Dragon Quest. This is official Square Enix. It's the Smile Slime series, and I think I got this on eBay. I actually bought my wife and me one as like you know, and some people get like bracelets that match or whatever. We got slimes. Hers hangs in her car, so it's. But
You know
yeah,
what's interesting is that slime kind of spawned its own spin-off series.
hmm it did. In fact, I know what you're talking about. There's the Rocket Slime series. And what's hilarious that I love about that game on the DS is there's a Chrono Trigger um, parody. It's a giant tree, and they call it Chrono Twigger, like a twig, and it makes me laugh every time I see it. But I love this guy, man. Like it's what I'll say is we talked about Final Fantasy for just a minute, but so I'm going to talk about Dragon Quest a little bit. I wasn't a huge fan of Dragon Quest growing up. I didn't. I kind of played him a little bit because my cousin had him, and I was like, oh, this is kind of weird, whatever. And then we didn't get any of the Super Nintendo ones. We got them on DS. I didn't really play them on DS that much until Dragon Quest IX. I decided to give that a go because I saw how cool, like, it was like more. You can like make your own character, and all the equipment would show on them and stuff. Oh, that's not true. I played Dragon Quest 7 and 8. I take that back. But 9 is what got me into it really hardcore. I played 7 when it was still Dragon Warrior on the PlayStation. Um, and that game was long, dude. The intro alone before you even start like getting into anything is like 5 or 10 hours or something crazy like that. Like that game's long as shit. And they re-released it on 3DS and they streamlined it, but even still, the intro is long as hell. It's still a good game. I need to go back to it and beat it because like it has a pretty good job system. But anyway, and Dragon Quest VIII I liked the characters, although they were cool. I never beat it. I only played it. I played the I played the Final Fantasy 12 demo. I think that came with it, and I didn't. I actually didn't like Final Fantasy 12 when it first came out, but that's a different story. Got to stay on track. So anyway, so Final Fantasy or Dragon Quest IX is what got me into the series, and I played the hell out of it. And yep, right there. There you go. Oh wait, you're this way. Um, and I played Dragon Quest IX. I didn't get a chance to play 10 because it's the MMO that we're still waiting for here. But then Dragon Quest 11 came out, and Dragon Quest 11 had me hooked. And what's awesome about Dragon Quest 11 is they kind of tailored it to be like an introduction, like a like to pull in more newcomers. So they try to like modernize Dragon Quest a little bit, not a whole lot, but enough to like get people into it. And I think it was when did that game come out? It was during the Switch life cycle. Um, I can't remember, but as I was playing it, I was telling my wife, "Hey, you might like this." She keeps wanting to get into console RPGs, but she's having a hard time with some of the more complex Final Fantasy stuff. So I was like, "Hey, try Dragon Quest 11. You might like it. It's got good characters. It's easier to understand." She's like, "Sure." She loved it. She played the hell out of it, and so I don't think she ever beat it. She got pretty close, but anytime I like, I'll be on Play Asia, and I'll be like, "Hey," and I'll send her like a link to. They have uh like dishes and stuff of Dragon Quest. She's like, we need those. We haven't bought any yet, but and I'll be like, hey, look at this cup. We got to get that. So like, it's just funny because for a long time, Final Fantasy and Dragon Quest fans were like Star Trek and Star Wars fans. They would say, oh, Final Fantasy's better. Oh, Dragon Quest is better. But we are strictly a what's the word? I don't know the word, but we like both. Is my point. But so I got these as a gift for my wife and I to show we liked Dragon Quest, and I think Dragon Quest is I can't really say underrated because a lot of people like it, but like I think in America it's kind of a little underrated. Since 11 has come out, it's the tides have changed a little bit. But I remember for a long time, like we weren't getting Dragon Quest games at all. Like it was strictly Final Fantasy. And like even on the DS, when we got like Dragon Quest 4, 5, 6, yeah, 4, 5, and 6, and then we got 7, 8 on the 3DS, 9 on the DS. We never got Theater Rhythm Dragon Quest, which sucks because there's some great music in Dragon Quest. Um, but yeah, Dragon Quest is amazing, and I played the remake of Dragon Quest 3 recently because I felt like the older Dragon Quests were a little archaic because they don't really line up with modern RPG sensibilities, but they did a really good job of like bridging the gap between modern RPGs and classic RPGs, and it's really worth the play. I think I did a review on it on Torchlit, but I definitely recommend it. They did it in 2D HD style, like Octopath Traveler and everything, and that's another game where the scale is amazing because you'll be like in the original NES game, everything's flat sprites. Even when they're doing like statues and stuff. But in this game, in the remake, everything's like as tall as they think it should be. You pass castle gates and they'll be like tall above you, and everything like that. And you're just like, whoa. And like the lighting is done really well. I mean, if you played Octopath, you pretty much know. But it's such an amazing experience. And like I think, if you find that some console JRPGs are a little too difficult, Dragon Quest is a great game to just kind of swoop in and try to play because there's not as many like systems to keep track of. It's not like, the sphere grid in Final Fantasy X or gambits in Final Fantasy 12. Like I love those games, don't get me wrong, and I think that they've done a great job of like reinventing the series in every single iteration. But sometimes it's fun just to like play a role playing game. You know what I mean? Like just being able to make a character, go on an adventure, point A, point B, learn some magic, you know, fight weird creatures designed by Akira Toriyama, as most games in the series are. Rip. And yeah, so what's funny to me is as an American who was exposed to uh Final Fantasy more, like it kind of it kind of shows like the disparity in how like Japanese games are presented to us, because over here Final Fantasy is huge. It's always been huge. Like, even in the Super Nintendo era, we had Final Fantasy 2, 3, Mystic Quest. Then we had like 7, 8, 9, blah blah blah. But we got like Dragon Warrior 1, 2, and 3, and 4, I think. Then we got Dragon Quest 7, or Dragon Warrior 7, and then 8. And then once 8 came out, I think it started to take off when we got more and more. But it's just like, I don't know, it's just funny to see what they think Americans like and are sometimes right. But I don't know, I rambled way too much. Sorry, but I just had to throw in my Dragon Quest storyline in there. But yeah. So, that's what I got for Dragon Quest. So what do you
Yeah,
got
I think
next?
it's important
Oh, go ahead.
because Dragon Quest, we talked about this a little bit in the last episode, but Dragon Quest basically invented the genre of JRPGs. There really wasn't any JRPG before Dragon Quest 1.
Right.
Um, and they were borrowing because they played, the creators of Dragon Quest played Wizardry and Ultima, and they loved those games, and they probably played Dungeons and Dragons and Akalabeth and others too.
Mm-hmm.
But they borrowed from that. They liked this, the idea of levels and stats and HP and the battles where party members taking turns attacking, and that slime's kind of where it all started, because that's one of the
Hmm.
first screens you see is like a wild slime appeared, or whatever. That's how Pokemon says it. But you know
Yeah.
it, but they even used, I think, like the dialogue even used like kind of old English dialogue,
Mhm.
like you would get in Ultima and Wizardry. But yeah, before there was Final Fantasy, there was Dragon Quest. And some American audiences might have been confused, like you said, because it was called Dragon Warrior when it was on the NES. But yeah, very important series. Very, and yeah, it doesn't necessarily get all the popularity that Final Fantasy gets, but it's a landmark in its own right, and it's very deserving. Really created the whole genre.
Speaking of Dungeons and Dragons, funny enough, I'm pretty sure the reason they couldn't use Dragon Quest in America for the first portion of its lifespan is because TSR, the people who put out Dungeons and Dragons back in the day, I think they own that copyright. And then eventually it expired, I'm pretty sure, and then they were able to use Dragon Quest in the US. But it's just funny how like one of their sources of inspiration was like the reason why they couldn't do what they wanted to do in America. I don't know. It's just always been kind of funny.
All right, for my next item that I'm going to show, I've got this board game here.
Nice. I have that too. That's good. That's a good game.
Monopoly Gamer. I've probably only played this like once, to be honest. It was kind of like I think it was a Christmas or a birthday gift.
Yeah.
I've got Peach and Luigi mixed up in here. Just ignore that. But yeah, you can see, instead of the traditional Monopoly with the thimble and the little poodle and everything, you've got Mario in his cart, Luigi, Princess Peach, and Toad. Um, wasn't like a serious gift. It was just kind of like somebody who knew I like games. I'm sure must have got it for me. But um, yeah, as I said, I just played it once so far. But it comes with a big game board. Um, I did play Monopoly quite a bit growing up. Before we had like Xboxes and PlayStations that kept us occupied, and personal computers that kept us occupied all the time. A lot of times we just had family game nights, and things like that. So
Hmm.
that's what the game board looks like. Don't ask me like all the details as far as like what is this one card, this one little card. I can't remember like what this area is for, but like that one, I don't know if you know off the top of your head, but that,
Probably Chance or something.
yeah. But it's the theme is collecting coins. In Monopoly you get paper money, but in this game, the theme is sticking with Mario Kart, and you get these coins. So there's a whole bunch of these, but I'll show a few. Like you get a 5 coin. These are little cardboard cutouts. Um, But yeah, everything has like different coin values to it. It does come with, a manual of how to play and everything. It actually shows you that you can get more characters by buying packs. Did you know that? I didn't know that. You can get Bowser, Shy Guy, Yoshi, Donkey Kong, even Metal Mario, and Rosalina.
So funny story about that. Um, the last time I had company over playing board games just a couple weeks ago, which you should join sometime. I keep meaning to tell you. Um, we played Nintendo Gamer Monopoly, which is just it's in the same series of or Monopoly Gamer Super Mario. It's in the same series as the Mario Kart, but like it's a different type of board. So in that one, you could actually buy the characters to add on to as well. It was kind of like a DLC kind of thing that they had going on. I have the collector's edition of the other gamer edition, and uh, my friends and I were really like, I hadn't played it in a while, so I was like, let's try it, and we were like, yeah, this is awesome. And I looked to see if you could buy those little individual characters anymore, and they don't print them anymore. And so the only way to get them is on eBay. And each of those little dumbass characters, they come with a little the character card because they all have special abilities, and the character itself. And all those dumbass little packs are like $40 to $50 now. And I'm like, there is no way in hell I'm spending like $200 on basically Monopoly pawns. Like, no thanks. Yeah, the dice are the same too, and the other one, but yeah, that game's fun. They actually they Monopoly created this whole like gamer series where they added a bunch of different games. There's Mario Kart, there's Overwatch, there's Fortnite, there's I don't think Halo is part of the gamer series, but they have a Halo Monopoly. But like the thing about the gamer series is they changed the rules to be more game-like. So like I think in the Mario one you can like drop coins and pick up coins and everybody has abilities. I think that's the same with Mario Kart is like you're racing around and trying to do all that stuff. And but what's cool is in the Fortnite one, you actually like instead of everybody starting on go, you actually drop anywhere on the board, kind of like you're falling out of the battle bus, and then like you can drop these little walls based on certain rolls you can do, and then people have to like shoot it down or like they stop at it, excuse me, to like emulate, building in that game. I think they do a pretty good job of taking a game license and converting it into Monopoly. And that Mario Kart's another good example. I have that same one. I think I have Animal Crossing too, but yeah, I love those all day. I'll play a mean game of Monopoly. It's good times.
Oh yeah. So yeah, that's like a little look. They even have what's cool here is they even have locations from Mario games. Like this is TikTok Clock.
Hmm.
I don't know I don't know if TikTok Clock is in any Mario Karts, but I know it's in Mario 64.
I think there is a. I'm trying to remember which one it's in. Maybe I
Yoshi
think
Valley.
I think all those tracks.
Yeah,
No,
that's
they
not the
might.
Mario 64 version of TikTok Clock. That looks like a modern, like a Mario Kart version, maybe.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember if they have Mario Kart 8 tracks or not in
So,
that.
so it's Turnpike, Moo Moo Meadows, Sherbert Land. So they've got a lot of you know, a lot of callbacks to the game in there. Um, so yeah, that's Monopoly Mario Kart. But I couldn't show. I didn't think I showed the back of it, but yeah, there's the piles of coins.
Yeah, those are cool.
There's the character cards, some banana coins. There's the four racers, the dice, some of the settings in the game. But yeah, it's pretty neat. If you're a gamer, it's a pretty neat little thing. And then it says first place gets a big prize.
It's
But
Torchlit Gaming approved.
yeah. But I couldn't show you Mario Kart the game, the board game, if I didn't show this one, Super Mario Kart on Super Nintendo. This is one of the first games that I owned on Super Nintendo.
Really?
Um, yeah,
Is that
definitely. I feel
is
like
that your original copy?
yes, this is my original copy.
Very
Um,
nice. It's always
I
good
think
to see that.
every game I show is a like Super Nintendo games are all my original copies.
That's
This
dope.
says 1991. It has a
Mhm.
copyright 1991 on the back. I don't know if that's the right year. I got like last time when I remarked about Kirby, I got the year completely wrong, but
Was it
um
95 for Kirby?
yeah, something like that. Maybe even later. But yeah, this game, it was one of my first games for Super Nintendo. I feel like everybody had, if you had the Super Nintendo, you probably had two games, Super Mario World and Super Mario Kart. Those were like the most common ones. And this was real fun to, play multiplayer, play in battle mode. Um, and you remember this book here, this superpower book. I have earmarked the Mario Kart page for a few little fun facts and stuff on the game. There's the Famicom cover, Super Famicom cover of the game. Um, did you know that in original versions, in like beta versions of the N64 game, they had Kamek
Hmm.
um, as a playable character? I didn't know that. He was
Yeah, they took
ultimately replaced by Wario. In this picture, you see both, but he was ultimately replaced by Wario as a racer.
yeah, they took him out late, really late in development.
Yeah. Did you know there is a rival mechanic for the game for Super Mario Kart? I did not know that, but that's a chart of all the rival order. So if you play as the character on top, or if you play as the character in this column here, then these were your rivals in order.
Hmm. So they're saying
Like if you played,
if
yeah, if you played as Mario, then you got to look out for Donkey Kong Jr. because he was considered very fast, and then Peach would be fast. So yeah, that's how it worked. Is a
s-
hidden rival mechanic to the game.
that's I didn't know that. That's interesting.
It says it determines which AI racers finish in which order. It's always the same except under rare circumstances. For instance, slower rivals usually get stuck in lower positions if they spin out, but faster rivals quickly recover their pre-assigned positions even after taking a hit. But
Hmm.
yeah, interesting. There was also an oil can in the early versions of the game that they took out. There was a mention of a VR Mario Kart for the Virtual Boy that
Hmm.
never was released. It was mentioned in a German magazine in August 2000 that VB Mario Kart was coming out, but it never did. Um,
Mm, same.
the
Virtual Boy's
feather,
cool.
the feather item that was in Super NES version was not would not be seen again in Mario Kart for two more decades.
Wow.
Um, Another fun fact: Luigi has more tracks named after him than Mario. How
Hmm.
about a little love for Luigi? Um, here's a I don't have my manual in my box for almost any of my Super Nintendo games, but there's a picture from the manual, and it tells you that in battle mode, the best thing you can do is look at your opponent's screen on the split screen and try
Hmm.
to see where they're at. um, they did
Screen
not.
sheet.
Yeah, it says always keep an eye on your opponent's screen. Um, See if there's anything else interesting.
What's
Just
funny about
talks. It
that?
says there was alternate victory screens. That's the one that's in the game, but there was apparently some other ones that were planned with like a Koopa,
Mm,
and everything else. But yeah, that's mainly what I got for Mario Kart. There's obviously like speedrunning strats and stuff in here too, but
yeah.
it's one of the like games to like very popular games to speedrun, and one of the early ones to do that. What's your favorite power up in Mario Kart,
Like all of Mario Kart?
or power up or power down, I should say?
Um, wow, I don't know. Honestly, actually, I do know, and it's gonna be the OG red shell.
Homing action. Yeah. If you were going to take red shell, I'm going to take blue shell. But if you took blue shell, I was going to take red shell.
I feel
Blue
like
shell's
blue.
evil.
I feel like blue shell kind of kills the game a little bit.
Yeah, it calls it the destroyer of friendships.
Yeah, I could see. Yeah,
And the consumer of salty tears.
yeah, that's okay. So funny enough, was that what you got for Mario Kart? Okay,
Yeah, that's all.
so I promise you, and this is a hilarious coincidence, and we didn't plan like we didn't show each other what we were going to show beforehand. We just got things at random. And I emphasize that because this is what I decided to show next.
Like
It's
that.
the it's the it's the Mario Kart Live Circuit race car. This connects with your Switch, and there's a camera at the top, and it basically on the Switch screen you see what the camera sees, and it uses AR to generate the track wherever you set it up. Like they have these. What did I do with those? Hold on. They have these little markers that eh, they have these little markers and what the hell? Sorry. They have these markers and you put these down on your floor in the order that you want to race them in. So they create little uh things. Hang on, I'm trying to do this one-handed. Hang on.
Build.
Yeah, so anyway, they stand there you go. They stand up and it uses AR technology somehow to where it like scans this and it remembers the I think there's only four of them, but it remembers like where you're going and it generates a track in real time as you're going through it, and it's very very cool. And I played this quite a few times. I got it for my birthday when I left one of my jobs, and oh shit. And it's amazing. You can probably get them pretty cheap now, I think. I think I saw the Luigi one for like $50 somewhere. But you put these things up in order and you can set them up pretty far. I set it up in my living room going into my dining room and it had no problem with it. And then you have these like little uh barricade things to like line around it. And once you did that, you could just race like Mario Kart, and you could actually, I'm pretty sure, connect with the second one. So like your friend could be Luigi, and you could race against each other, and there would be AI racers. So like I think the Koopa Kids were like the main ones, and they would be in the game, and you can like throw items at them. You can collect items and coins, and they had different track styles within the AR, so you could like be underwater or Bowser's Castle or whatever. And it wasn't like it put the track on top so you couldn't see where you're going. It was very subtle. Like you might like the screen would be watery and like, you might see like, see stuff on the sides or whatever, but it's a very, very cool experience. And I really wish they well, let me take that back. I hope that they dive into this more for Switch 2 because I would really like to see a second one of these on Switch 2 with like more racers and more technology and all that stuff because it's very fun and it charges and it's basically like when you would play with RC cars back in the day, but like to the next level. Like it was like you could actually race them and stuff like that. And I love this thing. Right now it just stands, how do I up there, and it just kind of hangs out and looks cool. But it's one of those things. I need to get Luigi actually, now that I've been saying this, but I love this thing and it ties great into what you just showed. So, the flavor win, as they say. And that's the other thing. Is like I love Mario Kart. I think it's great. That's actually what my hat's from. There's no, I don't think actually I take that back. This is actually from 3D Road Rally or something. Basically, Mario wore this hat as a mechanic, but I've seen it somewhere recently. Maybe it was Mario Kart. I don't remember, but I saw it and somebody makes these on Etsy, so I was like, yes. But yeah, Mario Kart's great. I think Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is my absolute favorite, only because of the amount of tracks, the amount of characters, the amount of power-ups, the I mean, it has Hyrule Castle as a track. Like, come on, how could you go wrong with that? I can't wait to see what's next for Mario Kart with the Switch 2. I mean, when they showed the trailer, they were hyping up the next Mario Kart. I can't wait to see what that's about. I have played Mario Kart with celebrities before. I used to watch this thing, this live stream by a guy called Devin K. He has his own band, but he has like all these famous friends. There's a band called Dollar Signs out of North Carolina. They actually have done Hollywood writing and stuff like that. I played Mario Kart with them. I played Mario Kart with Devin K. He has other band friends from like the punk scene, and I played Mario Kart with them. So it's like Mario Kart was a big part of my life for a little while there, but yeah, I mean, I could ramble on and on. I've been rambling a lot of, but since we're talking about our favorite Mario Kart, what is your favorite Mario Kart?
The funny thing is, I actually don't have a whole. I haven't played all of them. It's a long running series. I mean, I, other than this one, I would have to say it's probably 64. That's the one I've got the most experience with, and people are obsessed with the speed running. There's a huge
Yeah,
community of speed running Mario 64, and there's a lot of interesting things with that. But this is the one that I have the most nostalgia
yeah,
playing.
it's a
But
classic.
other than that, it'd be 64. And can you hold up your cart again, the Mario Kart? Because I just thought it would be interesting to compare. Like, this is the old design of the cart, and look at how much the cart has changed
Yeah,
from the humble beginnings
it went
of a
from
go
looking
kart
like a go-kart to
to
whatever
like a
the hell
Lambo,
this is. Yeah.
like a Lambo now. But it's cool. And yeah, there was a page in here that showed all the games um, that I'm trying to find, but it showed the evolution of the games over time. Um,
Yeah.
there's a lot of them I haven't played. Here you go. Uh, you know, 64 and DS and all the Game Boy Advance games and the Wii and everything else that came. And there's your favorite Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. But yeah,
All right.
so
I
we've
guess,
gone for a long time.
yeah,
We're gonna have to leave it there. Although there was more that I know I wanted to show some more things. I'm sure you did as well.
it's all
Um,
good.
please please like the video, comment on the video. Let us know if you like videos with long form content, or let us know if you think we're going too long. Subscribe to our channel. Check us out on all our socials. We'll be back next time. We'll do it. We'll make sure we do more of these in the future.
Yeah, take it easy.
See ya.
マリオ危ない亀の甲羅に気をつけろあらっとっとっとっとっとっわご苦労さんこりゃまたすごいデッドヒートと思ったらよしぺったん残念でしたこんな時はバナナの皮よそんなバナナあとはゲームで会いましょうスーパーファミコンソフトマリオカートこのレーサーたちはとんでもない